I knew something was off when Gary, the CEO who'd once sobbed into my office ficus during the 2020 layoffs, stood in front of the all-hands meeting looking like a man who'd just sold his soul to a meditation app. I'll be stepping away for a wellness retreat, he said, like he hadn't just greenlit 3 massive vendor audits and a Q4 restructure that could have buried us. And then came the twist. During my absence, I've asked Hayley to step in as acting CEO. Hayley, his daughter, fresh out of whatever corporate Hogwarts MBA program taught her that startup energy and corporate continuity were the same damn thing. She walked in 5 minutes later, wearing heels that could kill a horse and a designer bag that probably cost more than my entire Honda Civic. We're modernizing, she chirped, smiling like someone who didn't yet know what a balance sheet actually was. Gave her the benefit of the doubt for about 6 seconds. Then she pulled out a color-coded org chart and laid it flat across the glass table in the conference room like she was mapping out a seating chart for brunch at the Met Gala. We're going lean, young, fast, she said, tapping at names like she was picking dodgeball teams. Except in this game, the last ones picked got pink slips. She didn't know the difference between ops and finance. She sure knew how to use buzzwords. Synergy, agility, next-gen solutions. Hayley had a whole TED Talk's worth of phrases and none of the substance. She told the marketing director she wanted more viral like it was something you could order off DoorDash. I asked her if she meant more organic reach or brand campaign. She blinked and asked if I was resistant to innovation. 12 years. I'd been here 12 years. Through budget freezes, 3 failed acquisitions, 1 ransomware attack, and the Great Coffee Machine Rebellion of 2017. I duct-taped this place together more times than I could count. And now I was standing in a room watching a 26-year-old with zero P&L responsibility ask if we really needed compliance. By 3 p.m., 2 people had already been let go. Hayley strutted around like a pageant queen on Judgment Day. All smiles and sinister intent. She said things like, just want to empower people who actually care, we need to start thinking like winners, not survivors, I was tempted to ask how many winners she knew who'd ever had to process payroll with an Excel sheet after a system crash, but I kept my mouth shut. Look, I know the drill. I'm not some dinosaur terrified of change. But there's a difference between evolution and dropping a lit match in a paper factory. Hayley wasn't trying to lead. She was trying to perform leadership. Her father had handed her the keys to a machine she didn't know how to drive, and we were all strapped in for the ride. And hey, quick pause while we're nose-diving into this corporate circus. I know you're just here for the mess, me too. But this is my first time telling these stories out loud, and I've set myself a goal, 10,000 subscribers. Not for fame, not for glory, just to prove to myself that stories like this, they matter. If you've made it this far and you're half as entertained as I was traumatized, smash that subscribe like it's Hayley's LinkedIn profile after this week's done. Back to the show. At 4:17 p.m., my inbox pinged. A calendar invite. Touch base with Hayley, CEO office. No subject, no agenda, just a meeting block and a location that felt more like a sentencing than a chat. I walked in. She was already seated, legs crossed, sipping something green and smug out of a mason jar, like she was detoxing from competence itself. Close the door, she said. And I did, but not before I caught my reflection in the glass. Tired eyes, slumped shoulders, spine full of warning bells, because whatever was coming next, it wasn't going to be a pep talk. Hayley didn't waste time with fake small talk. No, she looked up from her overpriced algae smoothie like she was bored already and said it straight. Your role doesn't align with my vision. Just like that. 12 years of operational triage, cross-departmental fire drills, 3 different CRM overhauls, and a disaster plan I wrote myself from scratch. And I didn't align. Not with her vision, which, as far as I could tell, consisted of Instagrammable whiteboards and whatever the hell she read on Fast Company's homepage that morning. I blinked. I see, I managed, even though my ears were ringing and the coffee I hadn't finished was rising in my throat like bile. And then she smiled. The kind of smile that smells like lip gloss and delusion. Nothing personal. The buzzer clicked under her desk. She'd already hit it. I turned my head. 2 rental cops from the lobby stepped in like I'd been caught selling weapons-grade plutonium out of the copy room. One of them nodded at me like we were old pals. We weren't. Asterisk, you can grab your personal items now, or we can have them mailed, asterisk, Haley said. Stacking post-its like a damn Bond villain. Asterisk, totally your choice. Asterisk, totally my choice. Like being mugged or hit by a train is a choice. I stood up slow, trying to hold whatever dignity I had left as the entire floor, my floor, watched from behind their monitors. Nobody said a word. Not Kevin, who once cried in my office over his divorce. Not Ellie from procurement, who I'd personally vouched for during her last performance review. Not even Mike, who knew the supply chain was still duct taped together with my spreadsheets. They just stared. I walked out with my coffee mug, a succulent I'd kept alive for 5 years, and a single dry cleaning ticket. That was it. Security flanked me like I might detonate at any second. But I didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't give Haley the satisfaction of tears. I just walked. It wasn't the firing that broke me. I've been through worse. What snapped inside me was the how. The staged performance, the look on her face like she was doing the company a mercy by erasing me, like I was a dusty filing cabinet taking up space in her startup-themed fever dream. At home, I dumped the succulent on the kitchen counter and stared at it for 10 solid minutes. I hadn't even named the damn thing. I just called it asterisk plant star. It was still more loyal than half the staff. I didn't eat that night. Just sat on the couch in my blazer, shoes still on, feeling the phantom weight of my work badge like a ghost hanging around my neck. I tried to cry, couldn't. The humiliation was too clinical, too precise, like a scalpel cut. No blood, just air rushing into the wound. And then, around midnight, something clicked. I didn't know if it was adrenaline or spite or just the last neuron in my brain lighting a match. But I stood up and walked to my old bookshelf, 4th shelf. Behind the fake copy of asterisk Eat, Pray, Love asterisk I used to hide my good scotch, my old laptop. The grey one with the cracked trackpad and keys that still smelled faintly like cinnamon gum and stress. I plugged it in, powered it up, waited for the ancient fan to stop wheezing like a smoker in winter. Logged in. There it was. A folder, long forgotten but never deleted. Asterisk contingency. Asterisk because here's the thing about staying in one place for 12 years. You see everything. And if you're smart, which I am, you keep a few receipts. Just in case the princess-in-chief ever decides you're not asterisk aligned star. The subject line just said, asterisk need your eyes on something. Asterisk I didn't sign it with my name. Didn't include a greeting. Just 3 lines of text sent from a burner Gmail I hadn't used since the days when we thought Slack was a passing fad. Asterisk check what's buried in Q4. Start with vendor line items. Then find the settlement. Asterisk then I hit send. Board member number 3, Trish Davenport, finance pitbull, former colleague, now sitting high on the board's audit committee with a reputation for smelling cooked books through a firewall. We hadn't spoken in 4 years. Didn't need to. If she saw that email, she'd know. Trish never needed smoke to find a fire, just the scent of old money burning. Back at Haley HQ, the corporate Hunger Games were in full swing. Every LinkedIn notification was a fresh wound. Asterisk please welcome our new strategy advisor, Kyle. Asterisk excited to announce Cameron as our new head of growth. Asterisk Kyle and Cameron were 2 frat-scented MBA bros. Haley once bragged had built a VC-backed juice cleanse startup that tanked before it shipped a single bottle. They walked into the company like they owned it, spoke in abbreviations, scheduled 6 a.m. alignment huddles, and referred to layoffs as asterisk necessary evolution star. Haley called it asterisk injecting startup DNA star. I called it a case of corporate herpes. And yet, bless her dumb luck, Haley never thought to revoke my access to the sandbox server or the legacy routing for executive internal. An old shadow inbox we built during the merger days to monitor auto-forwards from C-suite aliases. It was patched to a separate domain. Most people forgot it existed, but I didn't. So, while she played CEO Barbie in the big glass office, I watched the emails pile in like snowdrifts. Vendor complaints, budget oversights, a furious email from procurement asking, asterisk who approved a $92,000 strategic research payment to a company called Torvis Holdings LLC. Asterisk that one made me raise an eyebrow, because Torvis, as I remembered from our 2021 vendor audit, was flagged for ties to a competitor's family trust. And then it dropped. An attached PDF in a thread about asterisk discretionary liabilities star. Legal stamped, confidential watermark, last modified by G. Carter, CEO. Subject, asterisk final settlement re. Incident number 471, approval and NDA clause. Asterisk the memo read like a legal morgue report. Some upper-level exec had been accused. Again. The details were vague, redacted in places, but the payout was clear. $315,000 in exchange for a full NDA, arbitration clause, and no press. Signed, approved, filed, all wrapped up just 3 days before Gary announced his asterisk wellness retreat star. Haley had no idea. Hell, even legal probably thought it was buried deep enough to rot, but someone had CC'd the wrong address. The shadows, they remember. I sat back in my kitchen chair, coffee long gone cold, and let the silence settle. This wasn't just a screw-up. This was the kind of thing boards get sued over. Investors panic over. The kind of rot that doesn't just sink reputations, drags legacies down with it. I printed the memo, watched the ink dry like blood from a reopened wound. Then I stapled it. One clean corner. Sharp, precise. Smiled like a woman with a scalpel. It started with a whisper. 5 words that detonated like C4 in the HR war room. Asterisk clarification on Q4 settlements. Please. Asterisk Trish didn't call. She emailed. Short, surgical, CC'd no one, and she sent it directly to Melissa in HR. Melissa, who once bragged over sangria that she could make a scandal disappear before the copier jammed. Her usual Botoxed grin turned to cold sweat the moment she saw Trish's name. The memo was never supposed to surface. It had been stitched together in the shadows. Just another line item masked as consulting fees. Another signature on a quiet payout to protect the company's halo. Accused exec had since asterisk retired for personal reasons asterisk and now taught leadership seminars in Colorado. The victim had signed, disappeared, and left a crater behind no one dared to speak of. Until now. Melissa called legal. Legal called Gary's assistant. No one could reach him at his asterisk wellness retreat asterisk, because, surprise, it wasn't a retreat. It was a long-term rental on a private estate in Sedona with 0 Wi-Fi and 1 prepaid flip phone. Classic corporate vanishing act. So, they called Haley. She leaned back in her $1,200 ergonomic chair and blinked like a deer who just heard thunder. Asterisk my dad handles that stuff asterisk she said, chewing on a gluten-free granola bar like it was beneath her. Asterisk I don't get involved in legacy liabilities. Asterisk legacy liabilities. It's what she called a sexual harassment payout to a woman who once trained 3 of our departments from scratch and built the HR compliance model. Haley's friends were now asterisk disrupting star. The board didn't like that answer. Not one bit. Meanwhile, I was sitting in a booth at Annie's Diner off Route 18, waiting for the woman Haley just wrote off as a liability. Her name was Carly. She used to run compliance before she vanished without a goodbye. She looked older than I remembered, but sharper, too. Trauma tends to age you in strange, brutal ways, like how trees thicken around damage. We ordered coffee, and I didn't waste time. Asterisk I've read the memo asterisk I said. She stared at me for a long minute, then exhaled. Asterisk 12 pages of legal smog to cover 3 sentences asterisk she said. Asterisk are you willing to talk? Asterisk I asked. Carly laughed, but there was nothing funny in it. Asterisk no NDAs left to enforce. Expired last quarter. Time flies when your silence depreciates. Asterisk I didn't press. Just reached into my bag and pulled out the USB. Asterisk everything I've got is on here asterisk I said, sliding it across the chipped formica like it was a weapon. Asterisk emails, memos, authorizations, payment trails. 1 signature away from a subpoena. Asterisk she picked it up, looked at it like it weighed 100 pounds. Asterisk I'll confirm it asterisk she said. Asterisk and I'll add my part. Asterisk outside, the diner's neon flickered. Inside, a quiet storm began, and the matchbook in my pocket, getting heavier by the second. He came in like a thunderclap in dress shoes. 3 days ahead of schedule, Gary blew through the lobby like the building owed him an apology. No hello, no handshake, just that guttural bark echoing off the glass. You fired who? Hailey had just started her daily executive mindset huddle with Kyle and Cameron, both now dressed like they'd been caught mid-pitch on Shark Tank. The doors to the 14th floor slammed open. Reports say you could hear a pen drop in marketing. Someone from accounts thought it was a fire drill. Gary didn't sit, didn't breathe. He just stormed from office to office like he was hunting ghosts. Hailey tried to greet him with a smile and a Starbucks cup. He slapped it onto a filing cabinet and demanded to see the org chart. She stammered something about restructuring for speed and he lost it. Fired Jane from ops. You fired Sandeep from supply chain? Jesus Christ, Hailey, you let Kyle approve a software pivot. He can't even spell SQL. Hailey blinked at him, eyes glossing over as if her father was being hysterical. Dad. You said empower the next generation. I did what needed to be done. Gary's face turned the color of a foreclosure notice. You signed contracts you didn't read. You greenlit vendors we haven't vetted. Got 3 suppliers holding shipments and legal breathing fire down my neck. And then the bomb hit. His secretary came in, pale and shaking, holding a printout of a PDF contract from the Sandbox server that still hadn't been cleared. Gary stared at it, then stared harder. Page 3, vendor approval, a 6-figure retainer, buried fine print. The vendor, Torvis Holdings LLC, a known shell entity tied to Decker and Rowe. Same firm that tried to poach our enterprise account last fall. Hailey's digital signature was right there. Time-stamped, certified, legal. Gary read it 3 times. You signed off on this. He whispered. I thought it was a research firm. Hailey croaked. Cameron said they were strategic. Dad, I didn't know. He held up a hand. The same hand that once shook my own after we salvaged the ERP migration in 19. Now shaking from something else entirely. Get out of my office, he said through clenched teeth. Hailey fled, makeup smudged, ponytail bouncing, sobbing something about sabotage and people trying to ruin me . She tried rallying Kyle and Cameron for backup. They ghosted her. Classic VC loyalty. Gone faster than WeWork's IPO. Back-channel calls started lighting up the air like fireworks on the 4th of July. Finance went into DEFCON 3. Legal started combing the Sandbox backups and refused to fulfill contracts until someone credible signed the new terms. Gary tried to get ahead of it, but the board was already circling like sharks smelling burned cash and lawsuits. And me. I was eating toast at my kitchen table when my phone buzzed. Just a text, no name. Is back and drowning. I chewed slowly, swallowed, and opened the folder labeled chronology _draft _2 *. They picked a steakhouse, the kind with dim lighting, waiters in crisp shirts, napkins thick enough to smother a scandal. I walked in 5 minutes early because women like me don't arrive late to meetings that sound like verdicts. 2 board members sat in the booth. Trish, stern and still as ever. And Franklin, who looked like he'd aged 5 years since the Q4 audit first popped up. Thanks for coming, Trish said. No pleasantries. Just tone sharp enough to shave bone. We need context. I ordered coffee, black. No cream, no sugar. No illusions. They didn't ask about the firing. They didn't ask about Hailey's tantrum, trail of fired staff, scrambled workflows, or the fact that our customer churn hit double digits within 4 business days. What they wanted, what they needed, was the story behind the numbers. The real timeline. The rot under the floorboards. Hailey's mess cracked the seal, I said, sliding a legal pad aside. But the damage started long before her stilettos ever hit the marble. I leaned in. Franklin didn't blink. I walked them through it, slow, measured, surgical. The 2018 complaint that went missing after the accused exec was quietly reassigned. The 2019 conference incident that HR disguised as a communications breakdown star. The 2021 payout filed as training reimbursement star. Each year, a different woman. Each time, the same pattern. A paper trail scrubbed. A signature sealed in silence. A promotion handed to someone who should have been in cuffs. Gary didn't just know. He engineered the escape routes. Haley didn't blow up a clean house. She tore the drywall off a saw line. The audit logs, the memos, the payments routed through fake subsidiaries, all of it hidden behind Gary's pristine LinkedIn, his glowing Forbes interview about ethical leadership in Techstar. Trish didn't speak for a moment. Franklin wiped his glasses on a linen napkin like he couldn't bear to look at the table. Finally, she asked, would you be willing to clarify in writing? I reached into my tote and pulled out a thick folder, red, labeled in Sharpie, chronology of lies star. I set it down gently, like a final stone on a grave. All sources cited, cross-referenced. Time-stamped. Neither of them touched it right away. It just sat there, breathing like a loaded weapon. Across town, meanwhile, Haley was unraveling like a Christmas sweater in a laundromat. According to a very chatty DevOps guy I used to babysit through deployment nights, she'd cornered the IT manager in the break room and offered him $1,000 in cash to clean up the sandbox logs. He told her he'd look into it then reported her to legal before finishing his yogurt. By the end of the day, the boardroom was locked down. I wasn't invited, but I didn't need to be. Whispers leaked faster than Gary's last alibi. It was Trish who made the motion. An emergency vote of confidence. Not in Gary, not in Haley, but in the system. The real system. Truth, accountability, and the people who'd held the damn walls up while golden children wrecked the furniture. The vote passed, and the clock started ticking. The boardroom doors closed at exactly 9 a.m. Gary arrived in full armor. Tailored navy suit, wedding band polished, jaw clenched like he'd been chewing gravel. Haley trailed behind him, eyes puffy from a night of spin and sobbing, but still wearing that powder-pink blazer like it was proof of relevance. Inside, the silence was funereal. What neither of them knew was that the real meeting had already happened, the moment the red folder hit Trish's desk and started making copies like a printer possessed. Copies with Gary's signature, Haley's approval stamps, wire transfers to shell vendors, charm memos that read like mafia code. The opening slide of the presentation didn't mince words. Chronology of misconduct, internal summary review star. Gary blinked, looked like someone had just slapped him with his own resume. Franklin opened. Calm, direct. We've reviewed financial transactions from Q4 of the last 5 years. Several items require legal clarification, and we're flagging potential breaches of fiduciary duty. Trish took over next, flipping pages like she was counting sins. These settlements were approved outside of board protocol. Vendor Torvis Holdings shows evidence of a shell arrangement tied to a competitor's firm. Funds moved without oversight. Audit logs show irregular activity. These are serious governance failures. Gary's mouth twitched. We handled those matters internally, in line with legal guidance. Trish didn't flinch. That's not your call. Haley chimed in, desperate, voice trembling. This is a witch hunt. You're blaming him for things he tried to protect the company from. Gary cut her off without even turning his head. Enough. You've done enough. You could hear the room suck in air. Haley recoiled, blinking fast. Dad. You said I was ready. You said he didn't answer. The vote happened quickly. Trish called for it. Franklin seconded. 7 members. 5 hands went up. 1 abstained. 1 hung in the air just long enough to make it sting. Both Gary and Haley were placed on immediate temporary administrative leave. All active credentials suspended. An outside compliance firm was being brought in by week's end. Haley lost it. This is a setup, she shrieked, knocking over her water glass. You're all jealous because I made changes. This was all supposed to be mine. Gary stood quietly, didn't defend her, didn't deny it, just stared at the floor like he was watching his entire kingdom turn to ash at his Italian loafers. By 10:15, they were escorted out of the building. No applause, no press release, just silence and the distant sound of legal printing subpoenas. And me. I was in a booth at Roz's Cafe with a lukewarm cinnamon latte and a phone screen lit up with a security camera livestream. Some kind soul in facilities had accidentally routed my way. I watched Hayley's heels clack against the tile like punctuation. Gary followed, shoulders sagging. I took a sip, bit into a stale biscotti, and whispered, that'll do that. The email went out at 7:42 a.m. on a Monday. The subject line was pure corporate blandness. Organizational update. Interim leadership transition star. Most folks didn't open it right away, too busy refilling coffee, counting PTO hours like wartime rations, or watching LinkedIn for signs of another bloodletting. But the second it started circulating, Slack lit up like Vegas on payday. Because tucked 5 paragraphs down, after all the fluff about vision recalibration and long-term strategic oversight came the real news. Effective immediately, Jane Walters will assume the position of interim chief operating officer, reporting directly to the board of directors not returning not assisting not advising star. Coup. The role I'd propped up silently for 12 years under 3 different CEOs, 2 product implosions, and 1 near-sec audit. The role I trained people for while being told I wasn't visible enough. Now mine. Official. With a title that rang like a gavel in a very satisfying courtroom. Hayley's name nowhere in the announcement. Gary's mentioned only once, buried under temporary leave pending internal and federal review star. SEC investigators love whistleblowers with color-coded receipts and a flawless memory for approval timestamps. Civil litigation was underway. Investor counsel had been looped, and even the HR director started walking softer in heels, like the floor might collapse. They sent a courier to my door with a fresh laptop and an embossed folder. The new badge felt heavier in my hand. Or maybe that was just the weight of being seen. I came back without fanfare. No balloons. No apology cake from the VP of product. Just a few double takes in the elevator and a particularly satisfying moment where Kyle from strategy tried to shake my hand, and I offered him a printed email chain from his failed vendor play instead. By Friday, I'd moved into the executive wing, same floor where Gary once delivered quarterly morale speeches with a smile full of buttered lies. And that's where I saw it. The door that used to bear his name, glass frosted, wood polished, sacred like a chapel for the delusional. Now stripped clean, just one word etched in brushed steel, reserved star. I stood there for a moment. Thought about every night I stayed past midnight rewriting budget forecasts to save someone else's bonus. Thought about the day Hayley smirked and said I wasn't aligned star. Thought about Carly, and the folder, and the matchbook in my pocket I never had to strike. Then I smiled. A real one, small, final. Guess I'm useful after all. And walked into my office. Big thanks, you legends of the old office days. Subscribe to keep the switch-flicking chaos alive. Your ex-boss is shaking in their loafers.